Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to head over to Japan once again, and we're going to return to a brewery that has now featured on the channel a couple of times before. Now, these guys are still a relatively new addition to their local beer scene, but they've built up a very good reputation for themselves over the last couple of years. And if people were to ask me about this brewery, I would say that they're probably best known for the different kinds of IPAs, but it does seem that they're doing quite a wide variety of different styles at the moment, which is very, very nice to see. So we'll try and cover as many of those on the channel here as we possibly can, because I've been impressed with the quality of the beer that I've had from this brewery so far. But the beer that we're going to have a look at from them today is a style that I haven't tried from this brewery yet. It's a style that I really do quite enjoy, but you don't often find the Asian breweries brewing this one, and that's one of the main reasons that this one kind of caught my eye actually. So I've heard very good things about this one, and needless to say, I'm very, very curious to see what this one's going to have in store for us. So hopefully it's another good beer, hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always, I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, like I said, we are going to head to Japan. We're going to go to the Kansai region, and to be specific, we are going to go to a little place called Aridagawa in Wakayama Prefecture, and that means that we're going to have a look at another beer from the wonderful Nomcraft Brewing. So this particular beer is called Nomclassic Tripel. It comes in at 8% ABV, and I think the name tells you what style this one is. So yeah, I've had a couple of triples from Japanese breweries before, and they've always tended to be pretty good. But like I say, this is a style that I really do quite enjoy, the nice strong Belgian blonde Abbey beer. But yeah, for me, when it comes to Belgian style beer, probably my favourite beers would be, you know, the triple, the quadruple. I do enjoy a blonde as well. Not the biggest fan of the Bruin, right enough, but of course I love the Lambics and the Flanders Reds as well. But yeah, it's always nice to have a triple, and I actually can't think what the last triple I reviewed on the channel was, come to think of it. So yeah, this one was quite a nice find when I was in Osaka last time, and Nomcraft, as I say, are doing some great stuff these days, so make sure you check them out should you get the chance. But yeah, let's crack on with this one then and see how we go. The Nomclassic Tripel at 8% ABV from Nomcraft Brewing in Aridagawa, Wakayama, Japan. So, as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Nomcraft Brewing before, and we will no doubt add more to that list at some point in the near future. But there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support that you give is massively appreciated, and remember, you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging system. So just go in there, use the little search bar, put in your hometown, state, county, province, whatever you like. If I've reviewed beers from the area that you search for, they will pop up. Failing that though, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. You'll find this one in the Japanese playlist along with a number of other things, which is being added to very regularly because we get a good selection of Japanese beer here in Hong Kong. I'm over in Japan visiting my son quite often, and generally speaking I do really enjoy the Japanese beer. So yeah, lots of regular updates to that list, but do make sure you check out the playlist of beers from other countries as well, because there are some very interesting things on the channel these days, even if I do say so myself. But yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and I'll tell you a wee bit about Nomcraft Brewing once again then. So, as I've mentioned to you already, Nomcraft Brewing are based in Aridagawa in Wakayama Prefecture, a little bit to the south of Osaka in the Kansai region of Japan, and the company was founded by a local consortium of investors. So two of the important guys in getting this company off the ground were the Americans Adam Barron and Ben Emmerich. So Adam originally studied communications in Chicago, but upon his graduation he decided to head to Japan back in 2011 to work as an English teacher, and it was there that he befriended Ben, who was a craft beer enthusiast and a fellow English teacher. But apparently they would just go round and explore the craft beer bars of Osaka and Kansai and attend the different festivals, and back at this time this whole thing was just kind of getting off the ground. It was just starting to grow up actually, and it's only in the last couple of years, I would say, that things have really exploded in Japan, and there's lots of breweries opening up. But after a few years, the guys began to wonder if they could create their own business out of their passion for craft beer. And first off, they pondered the idea of a bar, but then they settled on planning their own brewery together. So after a while, they quit their English teaching jobs and then headed back to the US in 2017 to build a strategy and gain some experience in the industry. Adam earned his qualification as a certified Cicerone and worked in a number of tap rooms around Chicago, while Ben returned to his hometown of Portland in Oregon, which, as we know, is a very good beer city. Well, both of them, Chicago and Portland, are both very good beer cities. But in Portland, he was honing his home brewing skills and also gaining some experience of brewing with some of the numerous local breweries in the area. So yeah, they both got their kind of pedigrees, if you like, from very, very good beer cities. But apparently Ben had a chance encounter with members of the Aridagawa Machizukuri, which is the development council, at a Portland fair held in the Hanshin department store in Osaka. But they'd apparently been looking at Portland as a case study for how to develop a local economy and attract outside visitors to their town. And they apparently had the slogan, "Keep Aridagawa Weird," and that was something that really just stuck with him. But this, of course, led to the customary exchange of business cards that you get in Japan, and then Ben and Adam later reached out to them to inquire about grants for startup companies, and things just kind of went from there. Morimoto from the council directed their attention toward a dormant nursery school site which they had earmarked for a craft beer tap room, but they suggested to Adam and Ben that they could come to Wakayama and run a brewery in Aridagawa, and of course they were very interested in this. But during this stage, Takumi Kaneko came into the fold. He's originally from Aichi Prefecture, the sort of Nagoya area, and he met the council in Portland during his backpacking days. But this prompted him to visit Aridagawa, and he started working picking tangerines and then building furniture in Morimoto's workshop. But his English skills saw him added to the team as a brewer and also as a creative marketer. But another addition during the very early planning stages of the brewery was Gareth Williams, who was a long-term resident of the area, and he often attended the council meetings. His children actually once attended the nursery in which the brewery was located. So he participated in the building of the brewery, and he eventually became a sales representative of the company, and I think he does actually participate in the brewing a little bit these days too. But by 2019, Ben and Adam were back in Japan with an operational brewery. The equipment was acquired from another brewery up in Iwate, who gave them some brewer-led guidance before the equipment was then shipped down to Wakayama, and they also received a lot of help from the Kansai brewing community in getting the brewery up and running. But the brewery debuted its beers at the 2019 Craft Beer Live Festival in Osaka, and the COVID pandemic forced them to shift their focus to cans and bottles very, very early on, and that really helped the brewery kind of build up its reputation. But in 2022, after a few years of success, Ben left the company to join Open Air Brewing up in Kobe, and so Adam stepped up to the role of head brewer, and Junya Nakamura joined the brewing team at this time as well. But over the last few years, they've continued to develop new recipes and build up their sales and distribution, and they've also been experimenting with gin and seltzer as well. And next door to the brewery is the Golden River Tap Room and Restaurant, which shares a common investor with the brewery, and so it serves a number of their beers at source. These days, they've also got a tap room in the Juso area of Osaka, and they're still working on another tap room that they'll open up in Wakayama City. I've been to the one in Juso, it's really quite nice. That's actually where this beer was bought, and hopefully I can get down to Wakayama at some stage and check out the tap room there. So yeah, that would be a nice out and about video actually. But yeah, as of November 2025, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced 285 different kinds of beer according to Untappd. And like I said to you, for me this brewery is very solid all round, but I think the first beers I really encountered from these guys were the IPAs. But yeah, definitely one of the up and coming Japanese craft breweries that I would recommend you keep an eye on. So yeah, that is everything I can really tell you about Nomcraft Brewing for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website, you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd, and I think Beer Advocate's dead now, isn't it? Or no, Rate Beer's gone. So yeah, you can check out the Untappd pages to learn a little bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, that is the end of your brewery history section for this video. We can breathe, we got it all right, and now we can go on and actually have a little look at the beer itself. So I'll just have a wee look at the artwork on the can of this one before we open up. As you can see, it's really nicely presented actually, kind of classic and a little bit retro. So yeah, plain silver top on the can there. This one is 355 milliliters, but yeah, it looks good, this one. think it says I think this is a collaboration with Osaka. Is that Craft Beer Live down there? So yeah, maybe it's brewed with some of the guys from there. But yeah, as we said, this one is an 8% triple. The triple style, of course, I believe was developed by Westmalle Trappist Brewery, and they wanted a slightly stronger beer to match their kind of, or just to complement their other ones actually. But I'm sure, yeah, the first triple I think was Westmalle. And so yeah, this beer is apparently modelled on Westmalle when you read the little blurb thing that's on the Untappd page there. But yeah, all I can really tell you about this one is that it's an 8% triple. The Belgian Abbey beers are quite interesting because they add a little bit of brew sugar into them. So the reason that the Belgian beers are so high in ABV is because there's that little bit of sugar added to them, but because they're adding sugar, like sort of brew sugar in, if we can call it that, or candy sugar, whatever, into these beers, that's the reason you get a higher ABV, but you don't get that thicker mouthfeel. And it's also why you get a slightly higher carbonation out of these kind of Belgian beers. And honestly, you can feel that the can with this one is a little bit hard. But yeah, let's get this guy out into the glass then and see what it's all about. The Nomclassic Tripel from Nomcraft Brewing in Aridagawa, Wakayama, Kansai, Japan. So let me just, there we go, we'll just open it up there. And it's actually behaved itself nicely. Usually with these beers, you get quite a little bit of foam and things out of them, but this one has behaved itself rather nicely. So yeah, let's get it out into the glass then and see what we have. There we are. That's quite a nice pour on this one, I have to say. So yeah, that's good. There we are. So yeah, anyway, it looks nice actually. So before the head disappears, we can see that it's poured with about 1 1/3 of a frothy, I would say perfect white head, kind of soapy. You very often get heads like this on your Belgian beers. Medium-sized bubbles on the surface of the liquid, kind of foamy or bubbly ones the further up that you go as well. But all in all, it looks really nice, this one. Lovely kind of pale golden straw colour to it, this beer. Yeah, kind of blonde actually. So yeah, remember the colour of your beer depends on a few different things. 1, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. 2, length of your wort boil is going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker coloured beer. But any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well. And you know, when it comes to triples, I don't think the sugar adjunct that they put into these is really going to affect the colour of them all that much. But you can see the beer has a good degree of natural haze to it. 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass. You can see some carbonation just coming, or some bubbles coming up toward the surface there, and breaking the surface of the beer. But yeah, round the edge of the glass, you've got that nice kind of thicker foamy ring to it. But all in all, it looks really quite nice. Yeah, I don't think we can really say much more about the appearance of this one. We've seen triples that look like this before. Yeah, we've seen triples that look like this before, so yeah, nothing untoward about this beer's appearance when you consider what style it is. So yeah, let's go on then and just have a wee look at the aroma of this one and see what it's all about. Very curious about this, as I said. Oh, nice. Okay, I'm going to say straight away with this one, it comes across as pretty damn authentic. And when I was at the tap room in Juso, they had, I forget, I think it was just a Helles actually. They had a Helles on tap there, which I thought was lovely. And you know, when it comes to these Belgian and German style beers, Czech lagers as well, what I look for these, with these, I look for them to be authentic and to be as they would taste in these countries. And yeah, this one smells as if it's going to be pretty damn authentic actually. So I'm going to say straight away, thumbs up to Nomcraft for the aroma of this beer. They've got it pretty much spot on. It's not the sweetest of triples that I've come across, but it's got the bready and yeasty character pretty much bang on in honesty. So yeah, lovely smelling beer, this one. It's giving you everything you want. The wee bit of fruitiness, the big yeasty character, the breadiness, it's all there. So let's just break the aroma of this one down a wee bit then and describe what's going on. So yeah, the backbone of this beer, you've got a lovely sort of fresh white bready bread crust in this one. So yeah, fresh white bready bread crust in there. It's got yeah, this beer for me you've got a fair little bit of woodiness coming out of this one, and you've also got a good little bit of cracker as well. So yeah, the way that the yeastiness is going together here, I think, is really quite nice. So yeah, white bready bread crust, a little bit of, well, fairly big bit of woody character in there, quite a little bit of cracker. On top of that, I think you get a little tiny touch of brown bread, but not overly much. But then yeah, you've got this big fluffy fresh white bread in this one. It's almost a bit like kind of banana bread, in all honesty. You've got that kind of dried candied banana sort of character coming out of it there. But then yeah, candied banana bread out of this one. There is a wee bit of that almost kind of clovey sort of herbally spicy kind of note as well. So yeah, nice. Yeah, banana bread I think is a good way to describe this one. Clovey spices there. Then on top of that, there's a wee bit of kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity malt. You've also got a little bit of that Werther's original butter candy, butterscotchy type character. Yeah, there's a wee bit of that. Yeah, maybe honey's a better descriptor. It's not Werther's original. Yeah, it's more of a kind of slightly honeyish note out of this one. As I say, McVitie's digestive biscuit, and yeah, the Jacob's cream cracker to it as well. So yeah, all in all, the way this one goes together, I think is really nice, and it gets a big thumbs up from me. The malty backbone of this beer is pretty damn authentic, I would say. Now the yeasty side of the beer at the back of the nose, it's kind of showing us similar things to what we've mentioned already. So yeah, you've got this lovely big sort of banana bready character to it there, maybe a more dense and slightly sweet and buttery fresh white bread in there, crackers, woody note, and yeah, maybe a little bit of a kind of bread crusty character. So yeah, the aroma of this one, the malty yeasty side of things in this is really nice, and you can smell just a little bit of that sort of candy sugar to the beer as well. So yeah, I should point out that this one, I think it said there was Pilsner and wheat malt in this one, so it kind of makes sense there. I'm not getting too much of the crispness out of the Pilsner malt actually, but yeah, the way that the malty character in this one, the wheaty character especially, you can smell that slightly smoother bready character to this one too. The other thing that's in this beer is, well, the hops of course, but yeah, you've got Columbus and Xatets in this one. So we know Columbus quite well. It's got quite a spicy floral aromaticity to it, about 12% alpha acid, and it's known for that big distinctive like spicy character in there. I'm quite surprised that they've used that in a triple right enough. And the Czech Satsop is of course one of the typical European noble hops. It's got a little bit more spiciness to it in comparison to the smoother green component that you get from Hallertau and Tech9 Mittelfrüh, which are very, very common as well. So yeah, on that note, let's look at the hoppy side of the aroma with this one. So yeah, the hoppy side of this beer, you do get a little touch of earthiness out of it. Quite a smooth earthiness though, I hasten to add. And I would say, yeah, there's quite a smooth earthiness to this one. But yeah, you've got a nice bright floral aromaticity, lovely little bit of kind of grassy, zesty character in there as well. But overall, I find the green component is quite smooth, and that is something that's worth mentioning with these Belgian beers. They are not the most hop forward of beers. It's just a little bit of hop in there to give you the kind of fruitiness and things like that normally. So yeah, green component in this one, kind of what we would expect. When I saw there was Columbus in this one, I actually expected it to be a little bit more bitter and kind of punchy in those floral notes, but obviously not, which is fine. But yeah, let's round off the look at the nose with this one then, by looking at the fruity side of things. So yeah, fruity side of this beer. For me, the fruity side of this one, it's yeah, the fruity side of this beer, it's got a lovely mix of things going on. So there's definitely some dried apricot to this one. You've got like oily pear, sultana. Yeah, so oily pear, sultana, dried apricot, as I say, and then yeah, you have a little bit of, how would we frame that? Yeah, you've got a little bit of what would we say? Yeah, pear, apricot, sultana, maybe just a little bit of like, maybe just a little touch of a green apple-y note and a wee bit of a citrusy note at the front of the nose too, mixing in with all the grassy esters So yeah, aroma-wise, I think this beer goes together really nicely, and it does smell pretty authentic. The one thing I will say I can detect from the aroma though, it does have that typical kind of Japanese cleanliness to it that I've often talked about with these beers. So yeah, as I always say, just take a little bit of time and ponder over the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. That's always half the experience when it comes to craft beers and whiskies and sakes and stuff like that. But yeah, let's have a taste of this one now then and see what it's all about. So yeah, this is the Nomclassic Tripel. Yeah, this is the Nomclassic Tripel, an 8% triple from the wonderful Nomcraft Brewery in Aridagawa. Yeah, in Aridagawa, Wakayama in Japan. Let's get stuck into this. Slange, skål, cheers, kanpai. Ooh, that's nice. I'm gonna say straight away, that is a well done beer. And I think I called it spot on with that comment about it being, you know, having that typical Japanese cleanliness and drinkability to it. As I've said on the channel many a time, when it comes to beer, the Japanese have this kind of preconception about it that beer should always be drinkable. It's something that you use to clear your throat before you enjoy some nice food. And yeah, so pretty much any craft beer you get, whatever style in Japan, it will very often just have this level of cleanliness to the mouthfeel. And Nomcraft in particular, I find their beers are very clean and very crisp, in fact, a lot of the time, and I like that. That's one of the things I like about this brewery. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Hong Kong Beer Company here in Hong Kong. But yeah, this is a lovely triple, and it gets a big thumbs up from me. But it just kind of goes to show you like the diversity of the quality that you have at Nomcraft Brewing. They've got a good couple of brewers from what I understand, in fact. So yeah, this beer's giving you everything you want from this style. So let's just break the flavour down and describe it for you a wee bit more in depth. I will say as well though, it does feel fairly boozy, this one. It is one of the boozier feeling triples that I can remember having had. But flavour wise, it's really nice. I was trying to remember if I'd ever had a triple from Kyoto Brewing, actually, because you know Kyoto Brewing would be the one that you would look at for the Belgian style beers, in all honesty. So yeah, let's have a wee look. Yeah, let's have a wee look at the flavour of this one. Then we'll go to the middle 30 palette and just break it down as we always do. So the backbone of this beer, you've got a lovely fresh kind of white bready bread crust in there. That's the backbone of your beer. As you move further forward, you've got a little bit of a kind of woody, crackery sort of thing there going on. Mostly woody, in fact, and this beer does give you a little bit of woodiness into the aftertaste. So you've got that fresh white bready bread crust in there, a little bit of, yeah, definitely a little bit of a kind of woody character there. The next layer up is a wee touch of a kind of Jacob's cream cracker, in fact. So yeah, the way that goes together is really nice in this one too. Yeah, on top of that crackery layer then, I do think there's a wee bit of, I do get a little hint of just a wholemeal brown bready character there, and there is a wee bit of graininess into the aftertaste with this beer. But yeah, that mixture of bread crust, cracker and brown bread in this one, I think, is really nice. Yeah, I don't know if we really need to say anything else about the, I don't think we need to say anything else about the real backbone of the beer. But the next layer up in that middle 30 palette is that fluffy, fresh, white bready character in there. And it's got a nice little bit of density to it, in fact, so you can feel, I think that's mostly the wheaty character coming out of this one. So yeah, it's a more dense, wheaty white bread there, but because of the yeasty character of the beer, it feels like it's a banana bread, in all honesty. And do remember that sweeter flavours will come out further forward on your palate, more dry and bitter flavours will come out further back. So yeah, you've got that more dense, wheaty, white bready character coming out of this one, which I think is it's really, really nice. And then the next layer up, you have more of the next layer up, you can feel a little touch of the Pilsner malt there. So definitely, the back of that middle third of your palate, there's a wee bit of that Pilsner malty note coming out of the beer, which I have to say I do really quite like. And then of course you've got the sweeter side of things with this one, which is great. So yeah, sweeter side of this beer then, and on top of that Pilsner malty crispness that's there. It's not too zippy, I should say, actually. It just gives you a wee bit of bite, but sitting on top of that, you've got more of the, as I say, you've got a little bit more of you've got a little bit of the candied sugar kind of coming out of this one, which I think is great. So yeah, in the middle of your palate, then you've got that nice kind of oily oval there, and at its core it is a little bit more kind of honey-like, and that's the boozy side of the beer. Like I say, this one does show its booze a little bit more than some of the other triples I've had, and I think that's, again, just the cleanliness of the water quality in Japan. Volcanic island, the preconception the Japanese have about beer being drinkable, that's what plays a role there. But yeah, lovely kind of honey note in the middle of your palate there, and as you move further out toward the edge of that circle, it's just got a little bit more of a kind of Jacob's, not a Jacob's cracker, it's got a little bit more of a kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of note to it. So yeah, the way that all of that goes together in this one, I think is really, really nice. So yeah, I think that covers the middle third of your palate in this beer, and that goes together really nicely. So as I've often said, the middle third of your palate and the back third of your palate are going to give you very similar flavour profiles, but things will just come out at different intensities, if you like. So yeah, let's look at that back third of your palate then. So the border region between middle and back third of your palate, you get that nice little bit of bready build up in there. There's the wee bit of brown bread underneath, and the more dense wheaty white bready character sitting on top of that, and a wee touch of the Pilsner malt there. And then yeah, the base of that back third of your palate, you've got the fresh white bready bread crust in there, the kind of Jacob's cream crackery note sitting on top of that, the brown bready characters there, which feels a little bit lighter, taller and more airy, then the fluffier white bready character that sits on top of that, the more dense wheaty white bready character sits on top of that. Then just creeping over the top of everything else, you've got a little touch of the dryness from the Pilsner malt there, but the Pilsner malt really isn't too pungent in this one, or too prominent in terms of the flavour. But yeah, on top of everything else, on that back third of your palate, then you get the yeasty side of things. So the yeasty side of this beer, for me, at its core, it's like a very sweet, buttery, fresh white bread, right? Then as you move further out from that, it's got a little bit more of a kind of banana bready sort of quality, which again I really quite like. So yeah, that little bit of banana bready quality is just kind of sitting in there. Then the very edge of the yeasty character, it's a little bit more crackery, a little bit more, yeah, it's a little bit more crackery, a little bit more woody and things like that, and that just lingers into the aftertaste there too. So yeah, the malty and how you say, the way the yeasty character blends in with the malt, I think is really nice. And for me, Belgian beer is a little bit more yeast focused rather than anything else, but they've got a good yeast strain in here actually. I wonder what yeast strain they've used, if it is a homegrown one, or if it is more of if it's a Westmalle one or something like that. But yeah, the malty yeasty side of this beer is really nicely done. It's pretty damn authentic, and that's what I want from these beers at least. But yeah, we can see that the back third of your palate, the flavour is taller. Then as you move further forward into the middle third of your tongue, it just compresses down and it squashes together that little bit more. And as I say, that gets a thumbs up from me. Now on the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward along the, it's quite a smooth earthiness, I would say. That's probably the Sats in this one. But yeah, as you move further forward from that, you can feel it just gradually, as you move toward the front corners of your palate, it just gets more and more sort of floral and aromatic in a way. and then it's got a wee touch of spiciness on the front corners of your palate, but it's not aggressively bitter, this beer, we can safely say that. But then round the front curve of your tongue, the beer is just that little bit lighter, and yeah, it's that little bit lighter, more grassy and more kind of zesty, if you like, so that gets a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, I think that covers the green component then. Let's go to the front third of your palate and the fruity side of things then. Yeah, so for me, the border region between front third and middle third of your palate, again, you've got the similar kind of bready build up and the wee bit of brown bread in the base, the more dense wheaty white bready character in the middle, and then yeah, there's that little bit of Pilsner malty character on top, but mostly it's the smoother side of the wheat. And yeah, the base of the front third of your palate, you've got white bready bread crust in this one, the Jacob's cream cracker, the brown bread, the more dense wheaty white bread, and yeah, then above that you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. So yeah, fruity side of this beer for me, I think is quite nice. It's kind of what you'd expect from the style, to be honest with you. So if we go to the back of that front third of your palate, so yeah, the fruity side of the beer, and if we go to the back of that front third of your palate, I think, you know, we've got that, how do you say, I think on the back half it's quite sultana, you know, those dry white green grapey characters. Yeah, there's quite a little bit of sultana-y character to this one, and underneath that there's maybe a little bit, like as you move further forward toward the middle of that front third of your palate, it's like dry apricot for sure. So yeah, we've got oily sultana, dry apricot, and then yeah, as you move into the front half of the front third of your tongue, it's like it's a little bit of an oily pear. There's a wee touch of fresh green apple to it, and maybe there's just a little hint of like a lemony character mixing in with the grassy esters there. So yeah, sultana, apricot, oily pear, a little bit of a lemony character. I think that covers the fruity side of this one. The other thing, of course, is that sort of candied banana flavour from the sort of banana bready notes that are in this beer. But yeah, all in all, the flavour profile of this one is really nice, and as I say, very authentic. I think it would be a shame, I think they told me in the bar that this one was only a one-off brew, and I will say to them, it is a shame if this is the only time that you do, pardon me, I would say that it would be a shame if they only did this beer once. I'm getting quite a bit of gas from this beer, so that's one of the things with these Belgian style beers. Because of the brew sugar, we've always got a bit more carbonation. But yeah, it would be a shame if this is just a one-off brew, because that's a very good quality triple and it's pretty damn authentic. So as I say, thumbs up to the Nomcraft for this beer. Yeah, I think we can leave it at that for the flavour, in all honesty. I think we've covered it quite well. It gives you everything that you'd want. So mouthfeel wise, what would we say about this beer? Yeah, mouthfeel wise, for me, this one, it's quite an odd, it's actually, you know, it has that typical Japanese cleanliness that I was talking about. Japan, volcanic island, very good quality water, and again, the Japanese preconception that beer should always be drinkable, that's playing a role in here. So yeah, the beer does have that kind of clean mouthfeel to it, but at the same time, it's quite oily and slick, I would say. And for me, that puts the beer toward the kind of top end of mid-bodied part of the spectrum. The carbonation does have a little bit of a prickle to it. Yeah, the carbonation does have a wee bit of a prickle to it, and it does give you that wee bit of gas which you saw earlier. But overall, yeah, quite oily and slick, I think, is the best way to describe this one. In terms of IBUs, this beer is going to be like 15 or 20. It's not going to blow the head off you in terms of bitterness in the slightest. The backbone of the beer, there's a wee bit of dry, yeah, there's a wee bit of dry character to the malt base. It's smooth in the middle, then you've got that nice sort of sweetness on top. The oily fruity character just sits there further forward on the palate as well. And yeah, the way that that pieces together in this one, I think, goes together really, really nicely. So it gets a big thumbs up from me. Really, really nice triple, this one. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. And yeah, if this, you know, we can get Westmalle in Hong Kong here quite easily, but if this is an alternative that's available in Japan, it's certainly up there in terms of quality. So yeah, definitely a shame if this is only a one-off brew from Nomcraft. I hope it isn't. I hope they do this maybe as a seasonal or something like that. But yeah, I think we can leave it at that for this one. This one's been a really nice triple to try. It's got everything you want from the style, and it's pretty damn authentic in the way the flavours come out. So yeah, this one was the Nomclassic Tripel, 8% ABV from the wonderful Nomcraft Brewery in Aridagawa, Wakayama, Japan. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Nomcraft Brewing as well, and we will see about returning to these guys again at some point in the very near future. But until the next time, check out my social media, check out Nomcraft's social media, and I'll see you guys in another review very, very shortly. Slàinte, skål, and cheers. Kampai.